Welcome to Next Level Podcast with Camille Babin, author, speaker, and soul coach. Each week you will hear stories, insights, and strategies on how to become your authentic self and live a life of purpose. So let's get started for the message of today. Hello and welcome to Next Level Podcast. I'm your host, Camille Babin. Thank you for joining me for another episode. Today, let's talk about embracing the change, living expansively, or I will say the same way I received it, dare to become you. In the beginning of the year, I was reading a book on living authentically. And as I was writing down a few notes from the book, I heard myself speaking, like when you hear, like you're talking to yourself. And I heard this thing, dare to become you. And I shared in the previous episode even how the word has become my favorite word, or one of my favorite words, if not the word for the season. Why? Because I felt like once I embraced even the word become, and I gave myself permission to just change. I gave myself permission to turn around and to just take even a different route. I gave myself more room to grow and to explore. It's really that. I just didn't capture the many possibilities that were available even for me. And once I embraced that word and I heard even the dare to become you, something inside of me just shifted. Something just changed automatically. Why? Because I knew that I didn't have to be stuck in the previous season. I didn't have, to just remain aligned to things that maybe didn't work anymore. It gave me permission to change, simply that. And today, I want to highlight this fact, how almost all of us, we have this innate desire to be different. We all cry out for diversity. We all seek, to be unique and to be recognized as such. But then I feel like when the moment or when the opportunity shows up for us to stand out, for us to be different, for us to manifest that uniqueness and what is special about us, then we shy away from it. Then automatically we shrink back. And, like all of a sudden, the same thing that we cry about, the same things that we were fighting about is really what we no longer want. And I know it's very common. It's not just one person. We can find ourselves in the same predicament in many situations, in many aspects of life. Maybe in one aspect, you own up to who you are, to the fact that you're different. Maybe it's the way, I don't know, maybe with your hairstyle or maybe with your fashion, then you're okay setting the trend and just being you, right? Wearing whatever you feel like, even if everybody is against it, or they don't understand. You said, this is me. I'm just going to be me. Just accept it or leave it. And when it comes maybe to another area of your life, then you're not so vocal. Then you're not so, like fierce. You don't stand as tall as you do with other things. And we all have those areas of life where it's difficult for us to fully embrace who we are, to fully, own up to the differences. And I'm reminded even like what started the whole thing. End of the year, I heard this word about me, and I was in a season, I think it was back in October or November. I felt like it was a season to dance. I'm not really someone, I used to love dancing. Now I don't really care for it. But I felt like at that moment, I was in a season of dancing. I don't know why. I couldn't explain it with any words, but I just could feel in my spirit that it was just a season for me to dance, that they were dancing. And sure enough, I went to a conference and I received that word where the man just spoke to me and he said, I see you dancing, that you're dancing with the Lord. That's exactly how he says it. He said, you're dancing with the Lord, or maybe the Lord is dancing with you and there's a new rhythm, like there's a new vibration. That's really what he was saying. He said there's a new vibration. There is like kind of a new frequency, and he didn't even know that in my spirit I was already feeling, that shift. I was already feeling like I was just dancing. It's like I would be standing and I could hear music in my own head, and I would just be dancing to it. Maybe in the natural I would not be moving, but it's like I could tell that inside something was dancing, like my spirit was leaping, my soul was just, like I was just bouncing, back and forth. And again, it wasn't obvious to the natural eye, but I could tell that that's what was happening inside. And why am I even sharing that today? Because the same way that, I felt that in my spirit, I know that it's not just a season, but this is what is happening, because life is really that. We have rhythm, we have flow. We have current, we have patterns. And I don't know about you, and I'm sure maybe you've seen that before. You've probably gone to a party and you see people dancing, and you probably wonder, if you were not the one dancing with them and you were sitting at a table just watching, and you wonder because you see different people and they have different moves, and it feels like they're dancing to different music. I know I've seen that before, where I was questioning myself. I was like, do they hear the same music? Are they dancing to the same song that we're hearing? Because you will just see they have different rhythm. Some will go fast, others will go more slowly, and it can be fun to watch. And that's the same way in life. We have maybe that music, and then people are adjusting differently. People are moving differently, operating differently. And again, the same thing that we wanted, we were crying, we were screaming, accept our differences. We are different. We want diversity. We're not the same, and it's okay. We want to be original. We want to have this and that. But yes, yet when we see people dancing differently than us, then we criticize. When we even the one feeling like there is a different move or a different set of skills that we have to exemplify, to display, then automatically we're afraid, and we said, why am I supposed to do it like this when everybody else is doing another way? And it's like this fear that grips us, this fear that almost, like just sets in and paralyzes us. And all of a sudden, we no longer want to be different. We no longer want to go according to the pattern that we've received. We no longer want to go along with the song that we hear, to the music that we hear in our heads. Now we want to conform. Now we want to adjust to what other people are doing. So I'm not here to criticize, you for doing what you do, but I'm here to remind you that it is not the time to settle. It is not the time to compromise. It is definitely not the time to conform. I think even when I started this podcast last year, the first thing that I spoke about was New Year, New Mind. And it was about, us not being conformed to the patterns of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And the message is still true today. The message still stands. Do not be conformed to the patterns of the world. There is a music that is inside of you. There is a set of skills, specific set of skills and talents and gifts that you have been given. And don't trade those skills just to embrace what other people are doing. Don't trade, like your gift or your calling just to align with what other people are doing. We've seen that often, and I will go as far as saying, even in your job, in your career, sometimes we feel like we're stuck because it's more like a family tradition. We follow the path of our parents because, my father did that and my grandfather did that. Then I feel like this is also what I'm supposed to do. I feel like this is what I'm almost stuck with. I have no choice but to just do it because everybody else before me did it. It's like a family of doctors or whatever, and I'll go along with that. And for me, I think I shared that before, how I was born and raised in the Ivory Coast, which is in West Africa. And in Africa, especially French-speaking Africa, there is really this idea that you are only successful if you go and work in an office. You're only successful based on the degree that you have, the diploma that you obtain. And like, it's really that. It's not even about the money you make. It's really your position, your title. So everybody goes, for, it's like, what are you going to study? It's really that. What are you going to become? Are you going to become like a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, all these different things? Like, it was not very popular or even accepted for a good family, I can say it like that, to have a child that was interested in music or wanted to become a chef or just do mechanic, all these things. We had that notion of there are some careers, some jobs that are just not good enough, like you have to have a certain thing. And I know for my family, the common thing is law. Like, almost all of us went to law school, or if it's not law, it's medicine. And there's nothing wrong with it, because for me, especially, I have a passion for it. So it's not something that I felt compelled to do. But at the same time, there is almost this invisible, force, or this pressure that we feel, and it's like, this is the path that is laid. I have to follow it. I have to do it. And it's not always, what I want to say is not always the case. The music that you hear may be the same, but it doesn't mean that you have to dance the same way. We are all made different. We all made unique. And I think it's about time that we all own up to that. It's not so much about the shouting and the demanding and making the petition for people to accept us the way we are, if we don't even accept ourselves the way we are, if we don't give ourselves permission to be who we're called to be, if we don't give ourselves, we don't make room for the talents, for everything that is inside of us to just be manifest. It makes no sense to really shout and scream and ask those things when we are the one for feeding the gift in us, for feeding the good, for feeding even the great, to settle for less. Why? Because we're afraid. And I want to touch on that very briefly, because it's fear. It's a fear of being judged. It's a fear of being embarrassed. We don't want to be, to feel like, people will make fun of us. People will laugh at us. We don't want to be mocked. We don't want to be rejected or even feel misunderstood. Right? Because when I look again at the people that are dancing on the dance floor, and I'm watching them and they make those different moves, and I wonder, like, do they really hear the same music? Do they really hear what I'm hearing? And of course, the first thing is we tend to judge. Why are they dancing this way? Why are they moving like that? Why are they doing this or doing that? But it takes strength, it takes courage for us to still, hear those things, or even subject ourselves to the possibility of being judged or being misunderstood or being rejected, and still stand strong and say, I'm still going to own up to who I am. I'm still going to do what I feel in my spirit that is for me to do. I'm still going to let those gifts and those skills just show up. I'm still going to do it the way I know to do. I'm not going to be moved, or I'm not going to be intimidated or forced or pressured into becoming what I'm not supposed to be, into doing what I was never created to be. And I think we really have to get rid of that mentality, of that mindset that really keep us, or almost hinder us from achieving what we were designed to achieve, from accomplishing our goals, because we don't want to feel alone. It's hard to be different. I understand it's hard to be different. It's hard to stand out. It's, the same way we ask for it. We said, I'm different. I don't do it like that. Or I want something original. I don't want what everybody has. But then when we find ourselves being the only one having one thing, or having one answer, or going one direction, automatically we start looking for people to come with us. Automatically we lose that confidence. Now we no longer want to do it. We said, okay, who's coming with me? Who's doing with me? And if we don't have people that will come with us, then we feel like it's wrong. We feel like we missed it. We feel like we didn't hear properly. That it may not be the route that we should take. And then instead of going right when everybody was going left, now we want to just go left as well and do whatever they were doing. So today, I really want to challenge you. I really want to encourage you. That life, yes, is full of rhythm. It's every time. And I feel like when we dance, and every time even there is a change in the cadence, there's a change in the rhythm, it's an opportunity for you and I to just break out of the mold, break, like that pattern, shift and just take a different route. And I see it just like when you drive and you reach that crossroads, and you have to make a choice. You have to either go right or go left. You cannot continue straight. And I feel like sometimes life will throw those things at us. It's like a curveball, and we have to make sure that we just use that moment, seize that opportunity to just realign ourselves or reposition ourselves to the path that God had for us. It will really be our opportunity to just say, you know what? I'm free to be me. And I'm not saying to just do whatever you please, because there is still discipline, right? There is still an order to follow, because we're not here on our own. We're here because our Creator designed us for a purpose, for a mission, for a specific assignment. But at the same time, there is freedom in that. There is freedom for us to rise up to the level that He intends for us. There is freedom for us to really do according to the pattern that He showed us, not what the world expects, not what they want from us, but what God is wanting from us, what He's speaking to us. So I just want to encourage you to just step to the sound of the music you hear. And it's okay if you're the only one hearing that sound, that music. Start dancing. Step to the sound of your own. Like, just don't fall in the trap of becoming like just another good thing, or just like a repeat of your parent or your mentor or whoever is in your life that maybe you have you have a high esteem for. Just be you. And in setting your goals and creating your plan or your vision, make sure that you do not compromise. Make sure that you do not go for average, because there is nothing average about you. Just go for it. Give space for all that you are. Give space for everything that is inside of you to find its expression in what you do. And maybe you will ask me, but how do I do that? How do I embrace that, that uniqueness? How do I own up to my the difference? How do I own up to who I am? Because I feel like, people do not accept me for who I am. People do not value or treasure who I am. Let me tell you, first and foremost, it's not about people valuing who you are. It's about you valuing who you are. It's about you seeing that there is value, that there is something very unique and specific to you that you bring to the table. It's about you understanding that you already have the potential that is in you, that there is nothing, that you lack. There is really no lack in you. You have exactly what you need to be who you're supposed to be. You were created with the unique traits or attributes that the world needs. And the world is waiting for the real you to show up. So I just want to encourage you to not be afraid to set a new standard, to dance to the tune of your own song. I really want to encourage you that, like every time, even when we hear, like, let's say, a new artist, or we hear or we see somebody do something new. Maybe yes, at first we resist the change. At first, everybody's confused and they're like, why are they dressing like that? Or why are they doing this? What is this new genre? What is this new thing, right? But at the same time, there is always that curiosity. People are always drawn to the new thing. They're always, and not just being drawn to it, but people are also inspired by it. They inspire. Why? Because it's very intimidating to stand out. It's very intimidating to see someone, just being themselves, becoming themselves, living authentically, living expansively, going beyond, just stepping out of the comfort zone, breaking barriers, breaking the molds. It's very, yes, it is intimidating, but it's very inspiring for those that are watching. And that's what the world is waiting on you to do, because you are an inspiration to many. You may say, like, I don't really know, I don't really think so, I don't see. Yes, you are an answer to many, not all, but many. And when you decide to embrace all of you and you refuse to live below your potential, then you will begin to leave a path for others to follow. When you stop comparing yourself to others, when you stop conforming, when you stop putting yourself in that mold that you were never designed to fit in, That's when you will really see or even open the door for many to follow, not to really become you, to do what you did, but for them to also understand and realize that there is room for them as well to express the uniqueness, to be who they're supposed to be, without pretense, without shying away, or even without shrinking. And I want to leave you with that. It's a scripture that really resonated with my spirit for so many weeks and months now. I've shared it before, I'm sure, but I think it's very appropriate today. And it's found in Second Corinthians, and that in chapter 6 and verse 11 to 13. And it's from the Message version. And he said, it's the Apostle Paul speaking to the Corinthians. And he said, dear Corinthians, maybe you can put your name or whoever you think that message can apply to. I can't tell you how much I long for you to enter this wide open, spacious life. We didn't fence you in. The smallness you feel comes from within you. Your lives aren't small, but you're living them in a small way. I'm speaking as plainly as I can and with great affection. Open up your lives, live openly and expansively. I think this message should resonate within your heart if you are the one living small, if you are the one standing in your own way, if you are the one thinking that you have to conform and you have to adjust and you have to adapt. Yes, there is a need, or there is a time for us where, yes, we have to be flexible. Yes, we have to adapt. Yes, we have to adjust, but not when it comes to who you are. Not when it comes to your identity and what God says, like about you. Whatever God has called you to do, I want you to feel free to just walk in it. Walk in the path that He has designed for you. Don't settle. Don't leave that path and try now to go and become somebody else. We can look at all these people, these great men and women, not just of the Bible, but even in history in this world. And we can see, can you imagine if, I don't know, like Martin Luther King Jr. decided to become Gandhi, or decided to become somebody else? If, all these great people that we know about, if they had decided, whether it be Steve Jobs, what if he said, I don't want to be Steve Jobs, I want to be Bill Gates? If Bill Gates had decided also that I don't want to be Bill Gates, I want to be so and so, I don't know. I think we admire those people because they are history makers. They are destiny changers. They inspire so many. And it is time for you to do the same. And not for the sake of just inspiring, but for you to just step into what God has said about you, called you to do, to be. Live expansively, live authentically. Just embrace who you are, embrace the change. Whatever, when the music stops, and you want to continue, it's okay, because guess what? As you continue, there will be another song that will be playing again. So it's okay. I know we feel awkward, and I will go back to the same example of being on the dance floor. Yes, when the music stops and you're still there dancing, people look at you funny, and it can be awkward. It can really feel like, you feel the pressure is on. You don't know if you should go sit or if there will be another song. And guess what? When they see you standing on the dance floor, there's another music that comes on. There is another song that plays. So maybe it's you. Maybe you're in a season of your life when, people have stopped doing what you were doing. And you feel like you should carry on. Don't be afraid to carry on if that's what God has spoken to you. And don't be afraid to stop if also God is telling you that the time is up. Whatever is in your heart, whatever you feel like it's for you to do, just do it. Remain true to who you are. Remain true to what God has spoken about you. So that's my encouragement for today. I want to leave you with that. And I pray that this message will really shift you into alignment. It will really put you, like, even give you another perspective of this season for you, like what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to live. Don't shrink. Don't live small. Don't settle for less. Don't compromise. Just, again, in the words of the apostle, live openly and expansively. So God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. And by His grace, I will be back next week. Thank you for listening to Next Level Podcast. For more content, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Camille Babin. Until next time, embrace your power to become.